In 1898, the United States seized control of Cuba in the Spanish-American War. Today, only one small part of the island remains under the control of the U.S. government. It is known as Guantanamo Bay, and it's the site for a massive U.S. Navy base known as GITMO. In 2002, the U.S. Navy base in Guantanamo Bay became home to a detention center for people captured in what was described by the Bush administration as the global war on terror. Over 779 men have been imprisoned at Guantanamo Bay. At least 17 of the inmates have been under 18 years of age. All the prisoners at Guantanamo are being detained indefinitely, without any legal process of charges filed against them. They have not been accused of any specific crime, and are not being held for a certain time period. They simply remain imprisoned at GITMO in the name of national security. Benjamin Dichter, a civil liberties attorney in New York City, considers GITMO to be a violation of international law.
The international community has repeatedly called for the closure of Guantanamo Bay as illegal under international law. The indefinite detention and kidnapping of individuals overseas and bringing to the United States has been a practice that has been highly criticized by the United Nations and by widely respected NGOs around the world.
Recently, 17 prisoners at Guantanamo Bay waged a hunger strike, refusing to eat, demanding that they be released. While human rights groups continued to condemn what took place at Guantanamo Bay, the striking prisoners were force-fed. Sarah Flounders, co-director of the International Action Center, described the U.S. government's activities at Guantanamo Bay as part of a wider policy of repression.
Guantanamo is just a tip of the iceberg in a U.S. program of secret renditions, kidnappings, assassination, use of torture. Of course, President Obama could close, under executive authority, Guantanamo tomorrow. But it's one of 100 U.S. secret prisons that were set up where people were brought for torture, were sold as bounty and as mercenaries. And the very men who courageously used starvation of themselves to call for the closing of Guantanamo were ignored and force-fed and presented with further torture. And these were the very people who the U.S. government admits they had absolutely no information on and were guilty of no crime.
U.S. President Barack Obama promised to close Guantanamo Bay during his 2008 presidential campaign. However, well into his second term in office, GITMO remains open. Paul Lewis, a former lawyer for the House Armed Services Committee, has been appointed as a special envoy. His task is to begin the process of closing Guantanamo Bay. It appears that after years of global condemnation, this U.S. detention center on the island of Cuba may finally be shut down. Caleb Maupin, Press TV, New York.